Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Hello.
Hi, and thanks for joining. We are waiting for one more minute because I see a lot of people in the waiting room just to make sure they can join us and we'll start, okay? And in the meantime, those who can turn on your cameras, at least for the first few minutes, you are welcome to do so. Okay, I think we can start. Again, hello everyone, and thanks for joining our monthly webinar. As you know, my name is Ina Gabulan. I'm Education USA advisor based in Yerevan. Today we are hosting a very important session, I guess, for everyone. We are speaking about funding your undergraduate education, and we have a great guest speaker, Cassidy Gardner, who is an international enrollment counselor at the University of Arizona. She works specifically with the students in our region, and with her personal experience as an exchange student in high school and her undergraduate degree in business and international management, she applies her passion for international higher education to her everyday life as an international enrollment counselor. Sounds something very similar to me. So we are very happy to have you today, Cassidy, and I think you have access, you can continue. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Cassidy. Glad to be here today to cover this really important topic. You can see my presentation, right? Good. Okay. Let's go ahead and dive in. So just a little background about the University of Arizona itself. We were founded in 1885, so we've been around for a little bit. We are a very large institution with over 50,000 students. The majority of our students are undergraduate, while we do also have graduate level students. And about 6.5% of our population are international students, representing over 120 countries. So we're really proud to help our international students, set them up for success, and get them through their higher education. When we're thinking about talking money, choosing the best institution for you when you're thinking about coming to the United States to study, what should you expect when you are looking at the different options? First, of course, is the institution type. Then there's also enrollment options like studying fully online or in person, the total cost of attendance, of course, and then the financial aid, right? Scholarships, sponsorships, things like that. And then cost of living is also something very important to keep in mind as well. So regarding institution type, there is public, private, and there are also community colleges. Public institutions are established typically to serve their city or state in which they're located. The University of Arizona is a public institution, so that's a good example. Land grant public institutions are invested in research and solving local and global challenges. They're also focused on employability in one's city or state. Of course, the University of Arizona is world renowned, and we have a lot of different partners all over the world. And as you saw, we have international students from everywhere. So we also focus on employability wherever it is that you might be from when you go back home. Private institutions are typically higher priced, and they do have more flexibility on discounts, and they may have more scholarship and funding opportunities from specific donors. Community colleges are spaces for 2-year degree programs. So that's what we call an associate's degree. They do have a lower cost of attendance, but they require a student to transfer or change schools after 2 years if they want to complete a bachelor's degree. So you could do 2 years at a community college and then move on to do your last 2 years at a university or four-year institution. There are also different enrollment options to keep in mind, as I said. So you can study at a school's main campus, like U of A has our main campus in Tucson, Arizona. There's also the option to study online. And then we also have micro campuses where you can achieve a dual degree. So that means you could achieve a degree from that partner institution and then also a degree from the University of Arizona. So we have micro campus partners all over the world. If you're really interested in that, I can send you more information, of course. What does total cost of attendance mean? When you're thinking about that, you have to think, of course, about your tuition and fees, housing and food, health insurance, and then your other miscellaneous costs like traveling, the visa, all of that. So you can kind of see a little bit of a breakdown of what that cost for your studies would be. For our main campus, you can see a picture of that here. It is actually that pretty. A very cool place to be in Tucson. We are located in an affordable southwestern city. We have the opportunity to live, of course, and study in the US and have that true American college experience. And then you also would have access to research, laboratories, and tools to advance your knowledge while you're going through your classes and trying to figure out what career options you're wanting to aim for. And we do have merit-based and competitive scholarships available for students applying specifically for our main campus. Some expenses to think about before you come to the United States are, of course, the application fees. And then if you're admitted, you would also want to secure your spot by paying an enrollment fee. That's basically telling the university, yes, please hold my spot. I do plan on coming. And then it pays for things like, your orientations and things like that. For the visa, there is, of course, the SEVIS fee and then the DS 160 visa application fee. And once you get your visa, then there's, of course, the flight and your housing deposit as well. That way, when you arrive in the US, you'll be sure to have a place to sleep at night. So the annual cost of attendance for an undergraduate student can be broken down here. So you can see for a typical student, the tuition and fees, estimated housing and meals, and health insurance for 1 year is the annual cost of a little over 61,000. So international students specifically will need to demonstrate funding for both tuition and fees and cost of living before they're able to apply for a visa. And you should really keep in mind that a US bachelor's degree takes approximately 4 years to complete. So this is the total for 1 year of study. So remember that when you're thinking about coming to the United States to get a degree, that it's definitely an investment. You're really investing in yourself, in your future career, and things like that. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. We do offer scholarships, like I said, for main campus. So the main one that we offer is our Global Wildcat Award. You would automatically be considered for this scholarship just by submitting a complete application with us. Then you would be considered for that based on your grades. So it's merit based. It's renewable for first year students for 4 years. If, for example, you go to community college and then you go to U of A for your last 2 years. As a transfer student, you could get that award for 2 years. So, like I said, it's based on your grades. So you could get a scholarship that covers up to $20,000 per year. It's renewable, right? So you would get it every year for your studies, just as long as you maintain your grades and you are in good standing with your visa. We also have our Scholarship Universe platform for admitted students. They can submit additional applications for other specific scholarships that pertain to them specifically. Those scholarships are highly competitive, and the amounts vary by the award. They also have their specific stipulations of what they're wanting to see in their scholarship applications and their own deadlines. And we also have another scholarship called the Regional Service and Leadership Award. So this is also specifically for international students and undergraduate students. This is a post-admission application. So if you're admitted, you'd get an email saying, hey, go ahead and apply for this scholarship too. It is competitive and it's essay based. We're wanting to hear about your service and leadership situations, things that you've done, all of that experience that you've done. And then you would automatically be considered after you've submitted that for an additional award. It is a one-time award of up to 5,000 US dollars. It is non-renewable. So like I said, you would only get it once. Some additional things to think about with funding your studies, of course, our scholarship universe, right? That has thousands of scholarships. It might be departmental scholarships, scholarships from specific donors or outside organizations, things like that. There's also the option to apply for our honors college. So if you are a really strong student, straight A's, perfect grades, and you are wanting to be in a space with, smaller classroom settings, students that are also very high achieving, getting more hands-on experience and things like that, then you could apply for the honors college. They also offer a lot of scholarship opportunities for students too. So if you're admitted into the honors college, then you can apply for their additional scholarships for high achieving students. Of course, your local Education USA Center probably has all sorts of great resources for you. So please be sure to ask them questions and learn all kinds of different opportunities that you might have at the government level or something like that. Government scholarships can definitely be something that not a lot of people know about, depending on the country, of course. So that could also be an option. Grants are another option. Grants are different than scholarships because basically that is funding for a specific purpose. You would typically apply for a grant by submitting a proposal of how you would achieve the goals of that grant. So, for example, if maybe you are wanting to study biochemistry, and there is a grant out there from a specific organization that wants to fund a student who is studying biochemistry and is wanting to get into a specific field within biochemistry. Maybe they want you to research something specific. That definitely is an option to get funding too. So there's a couple websites here, Grant Forward as well as grants.gov. Those are a little bit more tedious to apply to than simply applying for scholarships. A little bit more work is involved in applying for a grant, but that is definitely another option. Sponsorships are an option as well. So that might be a government sponsorship or a sponsorship from a specific company. So maybe you are wanting to work for, let me think, like Shell or something like that. Um, they could fund your education in exchange for you working for them after you've graduated for a certain amount of time. So those are definitely options to look into as well. There are external scholarship websites that we recommend, including internationalscholarships.com, International Student Organization, and International Education Financial Aid. Definitely take a look at all of those. I will also remind you that if you are applying for a scholarship on an external website, you would never have to pay a fee to have yourself considered for a scholarship. So a legitimate scholarship would not require you to pay a fee or anything like that to be considered. So definitely keep that in mind. And then ultimately, of course, there's also student loans. Student loans, of course, you would have to pay back. There's typically interest involved, so you would be paying back more than what you borrowed. So those are definitely things to keep in mind before you decide to sign a loan contract. So definitely keep that in mind. I highly recommend applying for the free money first, scholarships you don't have to pay back, things like that, before going that route. But there's definitely a lot of students that have gone the student loan route. So you can look up international student loan, and you can also review your options on Nerd Wallet. So, in the University of Arizona, our main campus is located in Tucson, Arizona, which is in the very southernmost part of the United States, close to the Mexican border, not too far from other cities, and also close to Grand Canyon National Park. Little thing, if you are wanting to see something really amazing and beautiful, even if you don't ever come to the U of A, I highly recommend checking out Grand Canyon National Park. It is truly something to behold in itself. I love nature, and there are over 22 different national parks in Arizona. All of them are amazing. So check it out in general. I highly recommend it. But basically, I wanted to point out Tucson because thinking about where you want to study, you also need to think about the cost of living. So you can see the cost of living estimates based on city here. So Tucson versus like Chicago, Seattle, and New York. Those big cities, they do cost a lot more to live there. So of course, I know a lot of students are really thinking about that big American experience, right? Studying in a really big city or something like that. But you can see how expensive it can be to live in a city like New York with this breakdown. So, this is the cost of living index. It's basically a model used based on the national average for household budgets in the United States for food, housing, utilities like your electricity, transportation, consumer spending, and healthcare. So values that are greater than 100 have a cost of living average greater than our national average. So you can see that Tucson's cost of living is actually less than the national average. It is a very cost-effective place to live in. So that's definitely something you have to keep in mind too. Where are you going to live? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? You know, it can be really expensive to live in New York. You might have to have multiple roommates and things like that. So definitely keep that in mind. Another option, of course, like I said, is studying online. So if you decide to go that route, you could study online from your country. You could work and study at the same time. You can take courses with people from all over the world, live at home to save money on the cost of living, and you can enroll at your own pace and complete coursework based on your schedule. So you wouldn't have to study full time. There's, of course, always support services and advising available to online students. IT support is always available 24/7. All of the same resources for our students are available to online students. So, libraries and support from your teachers, advisement, all of that is totally still accessible for online students. The annual cost of attendance you can see for online students is broken down here. So you can see it is quite cost effective to study online. Now, I will say, as somebody who is actually currently studying online, it takes a lot of effort to do that by yourself because you have to have the organizational skills and the determination and all of that to be able to make sure you're getting through your classes, getting through your content on your own time. So that's definitely something to keep in mind if you are thinking about studying online. Tuition and fees here represents an average across programs for full-time studies. So the 9,000 would be for like 12 credit hours, which is 4 classes in one semester. Students can study part-time, maybe 2 classes for a lower cost than this it's about 10,000, 9,906. So definitely something to keep in mind as well. Of course, if you're studying part-time, it'll take you longer to finish your degree and all of that. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So some key takeaways here. There are 3 enrollment options, right? Main campus, online, and then also our micro campuses. In general, when you're thinking about studying in the US, you're investing in yourself. You're investing in high level education. And so that's something to keep in mind when you're looking at your different options. Tucson is a very affordable city in the Southwest. We have our merit scholarship that's up to 20,000 US dollars per year for undergraduate students that you would automatically be considered for if you submit a complete application. The U of A itself is a top 1% global university, so we are very prestigious. And that's also something to keep in mind when you're trying to decide which institution you're wanting to go to, what kind of experience you're wanting to have. And then, of course, the annual cost of attendance, because international students must demonstrate sufficient funding in order for you to get what's called the I-20 form, which is needed before you can start your visa process. So these are all things to keep in mind. And I hope that it was some good information for you. You can see our cost calculator here in this QR code on the right. And then also to get more information about the Global Wildcat Scholarship and all of that, you can scan the QR code on the left here. So I'll leave that up here for a moment. If you want to take a picture of it, scan it, whatever. You can also Google these words and then University of Arizona to find those links as well. And of course, we're always here for you. So if you want to chat more about it, you can definitely reach out to me. I will put my specific email in the chat here. You can totally email me with any questions that you might have. I'm here for you. I know it was a ton of information. I hope this was super useful for you. And I'm definitely here if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Cassidy. So, guys, yes, you're welcome to ask your questions. Maybe you'll unmute yourself and ask your question. You can also write your questions in the chat box and we will read it for you, of course, with a question. And then you can also have, I think, together with Cassidy, we can also answer to the general funding related questions, not necessarily to Arizona specific, but maybe first Arizona and then general.
Sure.
So, who wants to go first? Yeah, Farkesh, go ahead.
Thank you so much for the presentation, especially the Grand Canyon part stole my heart. I don't know if you can see it or not. Oh my God, I can't show it, but literally, I have Grand Canyon on my cup.
That's amazing. And your background.
Yeah, and my keyring also. Anyway, I have too much stuff from Grand Canyon. Yeah, that's so funny. But I have a question about undergraduate research. Is it possible in University of Arizona or not?
Yes, it definitely is possible for you to get involved in research and all of that, first day right off the bat as an undergraduate student.
That's great because sometimes, not sometimes, but always, almost always, I find it so hard to find research opportunities that are like that undergraduate students are applicable for. They always have another section for research, but they always put like PhD or graduate students, and like they never have like special section for undergraduates. But yeah,
Totally, yeah. So, it depends on what you're studying as far as the kind of research that you can get into and things like that. You could also, for example, get like a job on campus,
yeah,
helping, a professor or something like that as well, to get that hands-on experience. So that definitely is something that U of A offers.
yeah. Thank you so much.
Hmm.
Thank you very much, Zorajan.
Right, thank you for the presentation. It was really informative and nice. I have a question about scholarships. So are there any like specific scholarships that you see most international students applying to, like with what you deal with, like the similar to Davis International Scholarship or something like that?
That is a really good question. Definitely, I see a lot of international students that apply for specific scholarships, of course, based on their country. And also, there is, what is it? Fulbright is another option as well. That is definitely a program that you could apply for. And then specific scholarships based on their career journey, what they're wanting to study, things like that. So you can, utilize those keywords when you're searching for scholarships to find something that aligns with you specifically. Um, and then, of course, our basic scholarships at U of A, right, that I talked about, the merit scholarships that you're automatically considered for, and all of that too.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. It actually looks like we have a question in the chat itself. It says, do you give need-based financial aid? That is a good question. In general, we don't use the CSS profile and things like that when students apply. Need-based financial aid is specific to US citizens and students that are residents of Arizona for U of A. But definitely there are some institutions that I talked about, like those private institutions that may be able to provide more flexibility and more financial aid for students.
Yes, thank you. And we see another hand. So, Gurgen, you are the next.
Mm. Hi, thank you for the presentation. You said that for getting an I-20 form, we need to show a proof that we can fund our education. Do we have to show the proof for all 4 years or just 1 year?
That's a great question. You would need to show it for 1 year of study. Now, I will say, when you are in your visa interview, they may look and try to figure out how you're planning to fund all 4 years of your education. So they want to see that you have strong funding and all of that so that you will be successful in completing your whole degree.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, and just to add here, maybe a bit more for the visa interview. For the visa interview, you have to show your I-20 when only first year is depicted, and then whatever you have to prove for the embassy also it's for first year, for the first year, and but you have to also think about upcoming 3 years as well. So because I mean, you can try to find some funding for the first year, but then it will be a bit hard to also cover the other years. And then with this explanation, Cassidy, I have some question to you regarding the loan. I saw you had some I mean, they also mentioned loan as a part of the funding. So I wanted to understand whether there is a way for international students or any other. I mean, I know that there are a few organizations that would help students with an international student loan, but if there is any organization that you would maybe name, or is there any option that Arizona would help students to apply for those loans?
Yeah, I do have a website here. Let me pull this up.
The thing is that maybe this is for those who do not know, for our, students and advisees. Sometimes those international student loan organizations would require also the someone who would act as like co-signer, or someone who would help you in case you cannot pay back those loans. But there are also universities that would be acting as the co-signer, or they will help you with the process. That is why I wanted to understand, is there any procedure in your university helping students with this process?
Yes, so I just put in the chat
Mhm.
from our scholarships and financial aid department. They have a whole site dedicated to private educational loans. That it's definitely that is definitely a place to go. Let me see, where's the other one? And then, like I said, Nerd Wallet as well. I'm going to put that in the chat too.
Mhm.
There you go.
Mhm. Great. Every time I find something new, something useful. So thank you very much.
You got it. No worries.
Yeah.
Any other question? I know somebody asked again, do you use the CSS profile? So
Mhm.
U of
Mhm.
A does not use the CSS profile, unfortunately. There are other institutions that do utilize that, so definitely take a look at those different options.
And you spoke about merit-based scholarship, and maybe we'll go back and check what are the deadlines for students to apply. Do we have something open for this year, and when they have to apply to be considered for the merit-based scholarships?
Totally. So right now we are accepting applications for our fall cohort. So that would begin next August. And then I think it's May. I believe it's in May. Our spring cohort application will open too. So if you are interested in applying or anything like that, I'm going to go ahead and put our international website on here for you to take a look at in general, so that you can look at all that information. If I can find my mouse, there it is. There we go.
Great. Thank you. I see, Vartkes, you have, I guess, more questions.
Yeah. So we talked about internships and, I don't know, research with faculty and other stuff. But do you have any study away or study abroad programs for students?
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So that is also an option for international students. I actually had a friend in my undergrad, and he studied abroad like 4 times during his undergrad. I can't remember. He was from France, and he went all over the world during his undergrad. It was very cool to see him getting all that experience and all of that. So it definitely is an option to consider.
That's great. Thank you so much. But if you're okay with this, can I ask one more question regarding
Sure.
to this? So if you have a full scholarship, I don't know, let's say for one academic year, and then you get, I don't know, study abroad, you get accepted by study abroad program, can you pay with your scholarship, or you have to find a new funding, and your cost of attendance money will stay to like University of Arizona, and you need to find more funding?
That's a really great question. So it is specific to the type of funding that you've received. There may be specific stipulations about those scholarships and all of that. It also depends on the study abroad program that you decide to pursue. So when I studied abroad in Brazil, I was actually able to pay my tuition and all of that still through my university, because of the partnership with the school and the program that I chose to sign up for when I went to Brazil. So that is entirely specific to the kind of program that you sign up for. There's a lot of different options. And so I highly recommend talking with a study abroad advisor at that point, kind of see what they suggest, what the options are. And then if, at that point, if you're worried about your scholarships and all of that, you can definitely talk to a scholarship and financial aid advisor too, just to make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row so you can go have that really cool experience.
Yep, that sounds great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And since we spoke about the admission, about the university, maybe very brief, you would also remind about the application requirements, test optional, anything that students should know before applying.
Sure. So you would submit an application on our website. I put the website in the chat, international-admissions.arizona.edu. All of the breakdowns for what we need to see is on that website too. We want to see, of course, a complete application. We do require payment of an application fee. And then you would need to provide 3 years of transcripts. And of course, they need to be in English too. If they're not in English, you would need to get translations for those. And then proof of English proficiency. So that could be Duolingo or TOEFL. If you studied at an international school and you were educated completely in English, for most majors, that definitely does suffice as proof of English proficiency. For our business school, it doesn't suffice though. So it is kind of specific to what you're studying and all of that. We don't consider the SAT or anything like that. We do utilize the SAT for proof of English proficiency, but otherwise, we're not looking at that when it comes to admissions. You don't have to provide recommendation letters. You can provide a personal statement to strengthen your application if you feel like you want to do that. It is not required, but you definitely can. All of this information, like I said, is listed on our website. And feel free to email me if you want that information as well. I'm here to help with all of that and the entire process.
Oh, that sounds very appealing. To make students' life as easy as possible. Thank you very much. So yeah, Markejan, go ahead.
I swear this is my last question.
You're
No
welcome to ask
worries.
more. We have time.
Okay, so my question is about sports. Are there many sport clubs or, I don't know, intramurals or any other recreational facilities such as pool, sport fields, and other stuff?
That is a really good question, and I always forget to include that information on my my presentation. So thanks for bringing that up. U of A is what's called a Division I athletic institution. So if you are like a really good athlete, and maybe you want to, but maybe somebody else in this room is a really good athlete, they can definitely apply and reach out to a coach to be a part of their team. There may also be scholarships available. Those are super competitive spots and scholarships, but if you're like a really good athlete, then totally an option. We also have intramural sports too. So, if you're wanting to join a soccer team, or maybe you're, really good at skiing and you want to hang out with other skiers or whatever, we have all of that too. So pretty much all that, whatever sport you're into, you could probably find something, except for like rowing, because we're in the desert. There's not really any space to row.
Yeah, but do you get a lot of snow during the winter?
No, not really.
So winter sports
It's a
also
really
count.
lovely place to live in the winter time. There's
Yeah.
snow on top of the mountain. We have a mountain called Mount Lemon, and they do get snow up there, but otherwise not too much snow at all.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you very much, guys.
Just
Do we have
Googled.
more questions? Do you want to
I
add
just
something?
Googled Mount Lemon. Looks pretty. It's so
Yeah,
nice.
definitely look up Tucson if you have a moment. It is a very cool city. They have basically everything that you need. You don't have to have a car to live in Tucson and be able to appreciate it. That's always something I like to highlight too for international students.
Oh, good. We have more interested students coming with the questions. So, Romela?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah, nice, great. So my question is about like, can we apply to many scholarship at the same time? Like I saw a lot of like kind of campus-based scholarship. So I was interested if we can like apply to all of them and get like all of them together.
Yeah, you definitely can apply to all of them. They have their own applications usually, so it does take time to apply for a lot of scholarships. You will also want to check and make sure that you are aligning with the type of candidate that they're looking for. They may have stipulations and requirements for students. Could be, what you're studying, or some scholarships may only be for US citizens. So definitely read through all those details before you proceed with applying.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Debbie?
Thank you. Mhm.
Hi, I wanted to ask if the English proficiency tests, TOEFL and IELTS, are more prioritized over Duolingo, being considered more traditional tests. Are there any biases regarding that?
Nope, not at all. You can definitely utilize any of those tests. It For graduate programs, it is different. So for a graduate level program, most graduate colleges do not accept the Duolingo. So at U of A, if you're doing graduate level studies, you would not be able to use Duolingo. They want to see TOEFL or IELTS, but for undergrad, no worries. You can definitely take the Duolingo.
Got it, thanks.
Thank you very much for the questions. I really enjoyed today's, very interactive and more free conversation about funding and everything. If we don't have any questions, so I think you have all the important information in a chat, so you can please open them just to make sure that you have access to all those website information, email addresses, and everything. And as Cassidy mentioned, you are also welcome to send your questions to her. And if any questions you have, you can also reach out to me. And then, so it's very short, informative, and lovely session. I wanted to say thank you very much, Cassidy, for this session. And yeah, that's it. Have a great continuation of the day.
Have a good day, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
That you have a nice day
Bye,
too.
thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.